Well, we've got two business leaders here in North Carolina joining us to talk about early learning and early childhood. I've got Vanessa Harrison. Vanessa is the president of AT&T North Carolina, and Jim Hansen, regional president for PNC Bank. Thank you both for being here. Now, I got a question. I mean, for businesses getting involved in early childhood, now a lot of times you talk about it's a workforce issue. Now we're talking about 4-year-olds. Do we need to get started that early? Is that how critical it is?
Absolutely, I believe that it is critical because a child that is not reading proficiently by 4th grade are 4 times as likely to drop out of high school. On the other hand, 9th graders that are reading proficiently by 3rd grade are 3 times as likely to graduate from high school and to go on to college. So we're looking at workforce beyond 2020.
Okay.
So yes, we have to get started early to predict our future and close the skills gaps that we see that will extend beyond 2020.
Now you just talked about reading proficiency and literacy. It seems like the business community, you've really coalesced around that, and I would say you've actually helped sort of push that issue forward. I mean, sort of how did that come about as far as literacy being the issue?
Most definitely. So if you look at 3rd grade reading numbers and statistics, the proficiency to read by 3rd grade is an indicator for future success. It helps organizations and counties forecast future needs. And so we realized that number and helping children get to that reading proficiency by 3rd grade is really a great indicator of the quality of early education.
Right. Now we just spoke to the governor a few minutes ago, and you know a lot of discussion today is about public and private partnerships. But as business leaders, you obviously recognize sort of the state role, right? I mean, are you having conversations with legislators? Is that part of what you're doing in terms of talking about the importance of this?
Absolutely. Last year, and you heard the governor reference that a group of business leaders made visits to his office as well as to the General Assembly to discuss pre-K, the importance of it, and to make a request that we can get additional fundings to increase access to pre-K. And we were very successful in partnering with them because pre-K is a form of, and it actually aligns with the Read to Achieve program.
Right.
So as a result of our collaboration in the public-private partnership, we were able to get another 3,000, actually it's 3,500 new positions in pre-K.
New slots for for additional kids.
Yes.
And that's one thing we talk about is that the slots sometimes it's almost a little misleading because North Carolina has one of the lower percentages of kids enrolled. So I assume that's a priority. We really do need to have that scale. It's something that really, I mean, PNC Bank, you guys are very generous at AT&T with the community, but you can't fund tens of thousands of pre-K slots.
That's right, and it's and what we realize is when we open those slots, last year we opened 1,700 new slots. There were 6,000 applications, and so you really can't even look at the wait list. That's not the underlying number. We know the demand is out there, and as more slots come to bear, the demand is out in counties across North Carolina for the pre-K slots.
Now your employees obviously look at what your companies are investing in. Do you get good feedback on this? Do they get it as parents?
Absolutely. AT&T has a long history of supporting education programs. We believe in the policies and in the goals and programs that the state has defined here in North Carolina. And that is partly because North Carolina actually has the #1 ranked pre-K program. However, we're only 41st in getting access
so yes. We need to build on that.
So yes, AT&T is always excited to partner with nonprofits and even with our public policy makers in helping to achieve the goal that we need to ensure that all 3rd graders are reading proficiently.
Right. Well, we appreciate y'all taking it. Jim, do you have another final comment on that?
I just say, both of our companies are invested for the long term for North Carolina, and that's why we care so deeply about this. And our employees see that, and our employees are part of the fabric of the state too.
Right. Well, we appreciate what y'all are doing. Thanks for being here on the show, and for your investments in North Carolina. We appreciate it. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Well, we're now joined by Secretary Mandy Cohen. Dr. Mandy Cohen is the Secretary of the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. Thanks for being here.
Of course, thanks for having me.
So you just spoke to the crowd, and one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show today is because we've been talking a lot about the educational aspect of early childhood. As a physician and as someone who's focused on health, tell me about sort of how important the health part of it is.
Yeah, well, this was a great discussion that we just had here at the conference. And what I was focusing on is the continuum of services and the life of children, from the fact that we have to think about their health, the fact that they need to be safe and nurtured, and the fact that we want to make sure that they're learning and ready to succeed in school. And so really thinking about how do we bring all those aspects together in one, and that starts with data and measurement for us, and it's also about bringing the streams of work across our department and across really many of our stakeholders together in one coordinated action plan, and we're thinking about that right now at the department.
When we think about child well-being and the issues of child health across North Carolina, is there one thing or one or two of the sort of the big things right now that your department and that you're focused on? I mean, is it hunger? Is it early, sort of prenatal care? I mean, what is sort of some of the keys?
Yeah, it's so hard to isolate just one,
okay,
of course, because there are different families and different kids need different things. But what I would say is we do have a focus now on really understanding what kids are experiencing in their life related to trauma and adverse childhood experiences. And for me, I'm an internist, that means I take care of adults generally, but in learning some of the evidence around diabetes and heart disease and obesity and how that is linked to adverse childhood experiences, and the more you have, and it can be anything from divorce to a parent with substance abuse to experiencing a physical abuse as a child, a cumulative effect of that really does impact someone's long-term health, and then obviously impacts whether a child's going to be ready for school and ready to learn. So we want to really be understanding this in a different way, and I think this is about children's health, and it very much is, and making sure we have good data around that, but it's also about family health, mom's health, dad's health, and that family resiliency, and that is a place where we need a lot more work.
Now, one of the things that I've heard at the conference today is that North Carolina is #1 in the country in terms of quality of pre-K, but I believe we're 41st in access. Your department has you're involved in NC Pre-K, so sort of, I mean, is it funding? I mean, is it space? Is it sort of what's the reason for why we have this sort of disconnect between we have this great work, but we have way too many children who don't have access to it?
Yes, and so we were happy to partner with the General Assembly to get 3,000 new pre-K slots, which we rolled out. But even in our process of asking folks across the state, hey, do you want these new slots? There were a number who said, I'm sorry, I just can't handle that, either because I can't recruit the teachers I need, either from pay reasons or just the pipeline isn't there. I don't have the space, or I don't have the local match dollar. So I think it can't isolate any one of the three, but we are definitely keeping our eye on all three of those sort of in combination. And I will say, we've also been hearing from certain, particularly the public school area, saying, you know what, I have to worry about this upcoming class size mandate.
Yeah, we've been hearing the same. We talked about that earlier with another guest.
I'm going to have to revisit what can I really afford in terms of supporting pre-K, and we don't want to take a step backwards in that. And I know Representative Horn and Senator Barefoot, who we were just on the panel with, I know they share that.
And I think that's encouraging, right? I mean, we are between the B3 Interagency Council, your department, the Department of Public Instruction, Superintendent Johnson. There does seem to be some bipartisan collaboration going on, which is good. We need it.
Yes, absolutely. I think they've been champions in the General Assembly, helping us move forward. We're trying to do the good execution work to make those programs come to life. And I think that the B3 Council started off in a great way. They used their first meeting to really look at science, and the brain science, and then look at some of the evidence-based practices. I think that's exactly the right way to start foundationally and then to move from there.
Well, it sounds like we're heading in the right direction. I thank you for your work and for being here, and I thank you, our viewers, for watching us. We appreciate the Institute for Emerging Issues for inviting us on site today. Had a lot of great guests, and we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.